This is your brother in the kingdom, Rev. Ludwe Mzonke. We are looking at the Greek translation of the Old Testament, what is known as the Septuagint. What is the Septuagint? The Septuagint, you will see it's identified by the Roman numerics, LXX, which means 70. The Septuagint is the oldest Greek translation of the Old Testament. And this translation was done around 300 to 200 BC. You would remember, you and I, that before Christ, the counting is descending. It's not ascending. It's going from 300, 250, 200, going down to 0. In other words, we can put this way, that the Septuagint, it is the translation of the Old Testament, the Hebrew scriptures, that was used in the era or in the days of Jesus on earth. Why? Because the people of God, the Hebrews, some, they could not understand the Hebrew scriptures anymore, the Hebrew language. They were so well conversed and well informed in the Greek language, as the Greek was the lingua franca, the common language of the day. So the need to have the Greek translation, so that those who are bearers of the Hebrew faith, those who believed in the Bible and in the God of the Bible, they could know the word of their God. So it was translated then to Greek. Why is the Septuagint important for you and I in 2025, in 2026? Why is it important in the 21st century? Number one, as biblical readers, as students of the Bible, as people of faith, it is important that we understand the Septuagint, how the ancient Jews understood the scriptures, how they did their hermeneutics, how they did their exegesis. The New Testament writers as well, they used the Septuagint to quote the Old Testament. In other words, they did not quote the old Hebrew Bible. They used the Septuagint to quote the Old Testament, word for word, for that matter. And number three, this is what you will realize when you read the New Testament. Where the writer of the New Testament is writing, he will be quoting the Old Testament. When you go and read for yourself what he quoted, you will realize that what he says at some point, or sometimes what he quotes, his quotation, and your Old Testament, if you are using versions like Izibhalo Ezingcwele, iBhayibhile, which is both the LXX translations. If you are using your ESV, your NIV, if you are using your King James, you will realize that your Bible, my Bible, differs, or there is a slight variation in wording from what the writer of the New Testament quoted and what you are reading. The answer to that is that most of our Bibles, they use what is called the Masoretic text to interpret, to the English version, or even our Xhosa version of the Old Testament. What is the Masoretic text, though I'm not dealing with it now? or it is known as MT. Masoretic text, it's a text that was done by a group of Hebrew Jewish scribes or scholars who were known as Masoretes. Ancient Hebrew, it was a language without vowels. For example, if somebody is writing my name is Ludwe. So instead of writing Ludwe, you would write LDW. There were no vowels. If you are writing my surname is Mzonke, you would write MZNK. There would be no O, there would not be E. Now, what the Masoretes did was to rewrite the Hebrew language and insert vowels in between, so that you and I, who are not Hebrew speakers, who are well versed in the Latin Roman world, languages and alphabet, can be able to read. Because now, tell me how you and I can make sense of a word like MZNK. It could mean anything. You can read it as Mzink. You can read it as Mzank or as Mzenke. Anything you can put it there. So what they did is that when they translated the Bible now into the readable language in Hebrew, they inserted those vowels. And the idea behind was that as we insert the vowels, so that the reader may be able now to read it for comprehension and understanding. So that's what the Masoretic text is. Now, what else that I can say about it? The Septuagint is important because the Septuagint now helps us to understand the world of the Bible. So also, there is an English translation of the Septuagint. You can get yourself an English translation of the Septuagint and read it. I'm not standing here and say it is a perfect version, because indeed there is no perfect translation. It's a translation after all. Now, there are two that I have read, I'm reading, and I'm enjoying. So the first one is the Net's New English Translation Septuagint. The second one is my favorite. It's the LXX English Septuagint. So family, thank you for your time. And I believe you're going to be blessed as you grow in the reading and the understanding of the scriptures. Thank you.